Hello everybody, Kitthesoulless here, and this is another day in my fuzzy life. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today is a little bit of a touchy subject for some people, and that's, well, young furs. And not particularly about them being a part of the fandom, but rather an issue I've seen on the social media platforms that are specifically geared towards them, like Furry Amino. Now, since my decision to become a little bit more active in the community, I've noticed that a lot of young furs that hang out in these particular social media platforms have kind of a common issue, and that's the fact that they see themselves in a more negative light, or rather can't see themselves in anything but a more negative light, and that's really bad. It's not good for a kid to think that just because they're different, or because they act out because they have insecurities, or because they just want to be seen or heard, that them doing this makes them a monster. And I know this is one of those things that a lot of people will just brush under the table because teenagers, right? But the problem is, it's something we shouldn't be brushing aside. It isn't something we should be overlooking, and a lot of us do. Now, I hang out in a chat on Furry Amino that was originally designed for a local group to be able to talk to people between their monthly meets. And of the people in this chat, I'd say around 30 or 40% of them are younger furs. Now, most of these kids are pretty well-rounded, but a fair few of them have social issues, I guess you could say. And by that I mean a lot of them see themselves in a very negative light. Now, I know a lot of us in that chat, including myself, have tried to convince quite a number of them that they're good kids. And for the most part, it works. But, I mean, I've had a couple of them actually try to explain to me why they're such horrible people, and sadly, it kind of reminds me of what I was when I was a kid. I really don't consider myself a bad person, and neither should they. Now, one of the biggest arguments towards, you're a good kid that I've seen recently is, well, I'm a bully. And I have to sit here and in the back of my head go, it's really hard not to lecture this poor kid about how a bully is just a bully because they have issues with themselves that they can't express or that they can't fully understand. Another one I hear a lot is, well, I think about horrifying things. Like, I think about, hurting people. And I'm sitting here thinking, we all do that. We all do that. There is not a single person that has not, at some point in their life, thought of how absolutely amazing it would feel to just double up your fists and start wailing on the face of that person who's messing with them. And honestly, just thinking these things doesn't make you bad. It's not bad to think like this. I mean, everybody does it, it's a way of coping. The only time I could actually argue that this is bad is when you act on it for the sheer purpose of acting on it just to hurt somebody. I mean, we all know violence is never really the answer. But, the worst part about all of this is a lot of the kids I've talked to in the fandom that think like this really want to reach out and ask for help. But they think that because they think like this, or because they act out, that they're bad and don't deserve it. Or that if they do, they'll be turned away and it'll just kind of reinforce how bad of a person they are. So this is sort of my way of responding to all of them at once. You're not bad. Just thinking bad things does not make you a bad person. And honestly, a bully is usually just somebody who needs a friend. And if you need to ask for help from somebody in this community, then go to somebody that you know and trust and ask, because there are so many of us who understand what you're going through more than you could ever imagine. And folks, if a younger fur comes up to you asking for help or saying that they need somebody to talk to, don't overlook them, please. Because 10 to 1, you've probably been exactly where they are now, or know somebody who has been in the same situation they're in.